Is it just me, or does it feel like a lot more people are starting to become way more cynical about Apple products lately? If you've been living under a rock, to be honest, I'm quite envious because Apple just announced the new iPhone 14, the 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, AirPods, Apple Watch 8, Ultra. There's been a lot. And as someone that's used an iPhone since the iPhone 5, I just feel like the innovation from Apple is really starting to slip. Speaking of slip, if you could just slip your finger over to the subscribe button, that'd be much appreciated. To say that I'm disappointed in this year's announcement would be kind of an understatement. Despite all of the leaks that the community had, I honestly was hoping that they were wrong. I really wanted Apple to announce something that was truly exciting that I wanted to get my hands on so I can show it to all of you. Instead, we got the iPhone 14, which happens to be the exact same phone as the iPhone 13 with the SoC that came from the 13 Pro. It has an autofocusing front camera, satellite SOS, which apparently is going to be a paid subscription at the end of the 2 years. And they've updated the rear shooters and lowered the aperture. Everything else about the phone, despite the new colors that it comes in, are pretty much exactly the same as what we had last year, including the notch. And the funny thing is, I really don't see many people talking about how the fact this phone has a 60 Hz display. Do you guys remember when Google announced the Pixel 6a and people realized that it was 60 Hz for $400 US? This is an $800 phone, and yet people don't care. It's kind of ridiculous that Apple has this like favoritism in the tech community and just manages to get away with everything they do, no matter how many people it screws over. The 14 Pro, however, has seen the most changes to an iPhone since the introduction of the iPhone X 5 years ago. Okay, well, sort of. Instead of a notch, you get what Apple is calling the dynamic island. To be honest, I'm a huge fan of how the cutout is implemented into the software, but I feel like Apple is creating a solution to a problem that just shouldn't really exist in the first place. Every camera on the iPhone 14 Pro has been updated, and the new main rear shooter is 48 megapixels, which is a really nice welcome change because 12 megapixels on the old phones for quite some time, there's a lot of competition in the space now, and iPhone no longer had the best photo quality, which is something that they were touted for a couple of years ago. Though, when I was watching Apple's event, I thought it was really funny the way that they were trying to introduce pixel binning. It's like they had developed this new feature and were trying to get people excited about it, but literally every Android phone for the last couple of years has had pixel binning. It's just a way to get more light into a sensor by grouping the smaller pixels together to create one larger pixel. So if you have a 48 megapixel camera, 4 of those pixels grouped together creates a 12 megapixel shot, but you have way more light coming in. So you get overall just better nighttime photography and low light performance. But this is nothing new. This is something that a ton of Chinese manufacturers have been doing forever, like Xiaomi, Redmi, even Samsung has been doing this with the last couple of phones ever since the S21 Ultra. And I just think it's crazy to try to go ahead and sell this as some sort of new feature, but that's what Apple is. They're more of like a marketing company, I feel like, and they get a lot of people excited about like the weirdest things, which I don't really get it. One thing that I was actually pretty interested in is the fact the phone's peak brightness is 2000 nits on the 14 Pro. I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna hold up in like day-to-day outside performance, but peak HDR, 2000 nit, that's actually a lot of contrast, and I'm sure that the display is gonna look really nice. But like, I can't imagine if your auto brightness ever just decides to tweak when you're laying in bed, you literally just get flashbanged. Like that is bright, that will burn your eyes. The Apple Watch Series 8 is basically just the Apple Watch Series 7, except it has crash detection and ovulation tracking for women. So if you don't plan on getting into a car accident and you happen to be a male, you're probably better off just skipping this watch entirely. The one thing that actually really did impress me with this event, and something that I'm kind of jealous of, is the Apple Watch Ultra. It's water resistant up to 100 meters, it's IP6X dust resistant, it has a really cool looking night mode, and a new customizable action button which you can change to just do pretty much a bunch of different things that suit your lifestyle. It has a more precise GPS, more speakers for better sound if you're in really extreme environments, an 86 decibel siren if you ever find yourself in a sticky situation, and it is really, really chonky. I actually really like the look of it, but I don't plan on buying one because I use a Samsung phone now. But aside from that, I also don't think this is for me. Like, I don't go outside, and I'm not planning on climbing Mount Everest or doing any sort of scuba diving anytime soon, but if I was that person, I feel like this watch does replace a really niche set of equipment that you'd need if you do those sports. And for like that $799 price tag that Apple announced, there are people criticizing it, but I actually feel like it hits like a really niche market, and there's definitely equipment that this watch replaces that is really, really expensive. So I don't think the $799 is that expensive. I actually think they made a pretty good product here. Though I have a feeling that pretty much every single tech YouTuber, college kid, or literally anybody that just wants to show off the fact they have the new Apple Watch is gonna buy the Ultra, and it's just gonna be completely wasted on people that aren't gonna take advantage of it. In all seriousness though, while I was watching this event with my cousin on Discord, I actually felt like we were being invited to a cult or something. It was just really weird. The event was like really off. I don't know, man. They had all of these blanket statements like this new SoC is 40% faster than every other smartphone. And then they create names for these technologies that have been already implemented in other phones and tried to like coin it as their own. And it was just really weird. And I don't know how they get away with it every single year. And don't get me wrong, I love Apple. I like their computers, their phones, and I feel like they have the ability to completely overshadow every single company in the tech industry. They're worth multiple trillions of dollars, have hundreds of thousands of employees, but I feel like they just get extremely comfortable with the market that they found themselves in because they're at the top. And it kind of sucks because if you're an actual consumer and like their phones, you don't really get anything new every single year. And even going back 4 years, it hasn't really changed that much. Like when I think about this, I think back to BlackBerry, how in 2010 they had 43% of the market share, but them failing to innovate alone led to the downfall of this company. And obviously that won't happen with Apple. They like to stay ahead of trends. They like to play it safe when they need to, but it can happen to pretty much any company. And I think it's just wild that they find themselves doing the same thing over and over and over again, even with all the pushback they get from, creators, from people that purchase their products. This event just happened to be like the most hated on event that I watched. But then 2 days later, everyone's tweeting about the dynamic island and how it's game changing. Like it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. To be honest, in this event, I was sort of hoping for USB-C on either the AirPods or on the phone. Obviously, we know that's not gonna happen until next year, but it would have been nice to see. Instead of giving us USB-C, Apple decides to take away the SIM tray in the US, which sucks. Obviously, we're gonna be moving to eSIM eventually, but as like a tech reviewer or someone that just likes to swap SIMs in and out, you can't really do that with this phone. You're gonna have to either get a new plan or go to and from your carrier every single time you wanna swap the SIM. There isn't really an easy way to transfer it from Android to Apple, and it's just kind of stupid. They like to play things way ahead of the curve, but it comes at the most inconvenient time. I just think it's hilarious. They take away the SIM tray and the headphone jack before they add USB-C when they have it in pretty much their entire product lineup. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this event. Let me know what you think about the iPhone 14, the Apple Watch Ultra, or the 14 Pro. Let me know if you're planning on buying or pre-ordering any of these. I'm all ears. I'll respond to pretty much every single comment on this video. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Peace out.